Miss Sushang, the superior physical character on the current banner. She's also the first haver of a pet. You think Noombi and Topaz were the first? No. Her and her big chicken were the first, and honestly, I like the chicken a little bit better. But anyways, guys, this video is going to be about everything that you need to know to build the best physical DPS in the game right now, which is Miss Sushang, or I guess second best if you count the little girl Clara. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about her skills and stuff first, because these are very important, obviously, to how her kit actually plays, but more so than anyone else's kit, because you need to know certain things about the skills before you know how to actually build her, or how you should build her anyways. So let's talk about that first. If you don't care, there are going to be timestamps throughout the video for relics, Lightcones, everything like that. So let's go ahead and talk about her skills first. So talking about her skills, she's going to be dealing physical damage to one enemy. There's also a 33% chance to trigger a sword stance on the final hit of an attack. Basically what sword stance is going to do is it hit the enemy additional times. That's the best way I can describe it. There's not really any descriptors here as far as how it does. It just hits the enemy more times, it does more damage. It's better for you overall if you can get into this state. But this does play into the ultimate, which is her big chicken. This is also going to be targeting one enemy, but after using her ultimate, she's going to immediately take action again, meaning you can bring her right back to the front. Her attack's going to be increased, and on top of this, she'll have an increased chance of entering sword stance. If sword stance is activated this way, it is going to be dealing 50% of the original damage, so you get like a reduced sword state here, but this does play into the bonus effects, which we'll talk about in a second here. And then finally, her talent is going to be basically you get increased speed if the enemy is weakness broken. Really important though is her actual traces and stuff like that. So let's talk about her bonus abilities. The first bonus ability she gets is going to be guileless. I think that's how you say that word. I don't know. I'm clueless just like her. When her HP is 50% or lower, she's going to be targeted less by enemies. This one's okay. This just gets some aggro off her back. But if you do have a Foxy and Mommy on your team, I think that is more than enough to get them off your back. So if you have a Foxy Mommy, you really don't need this. Number 2 is going to be Riposte. Riposte plays into activating Sword Stance, which we talked about earlier. Every Sword Stance trigger is going to increase her damage up to 10 times. This is a 20% damage increase. So every time you activate Sword Stance, meaning your ultimate gives you an increased chance to activate it, it's inherently going to be increasing her damage. So even though you're getting 50% less of the original damage you would normally get, this does increase that. And then finally, after using a basic attack or a skill, if the enemies on the field are weakness broken, her action is going to be advanced forward by 15%. This just makes her a lot more efficient in battle and makes her go more often when the enemy's broken. She gets increased speed and her action advanced forward, meaning she is meant to be cycled more frequently whenever the enemy shield is broken, which means a big part of her kit is breaking that enemy shield. Also, something I didn't mention with the skill is if you use her skill when an enemy is weakness broken, you are going to be guaranteed to get a sword stance at the full damage you would normally get. And then as far as how I would be leveling up the abilities, I would definitely be focusing on leveling up the skill first. The skill is the thing you use the most often. It's going to be providing the most damage. After that would be the ultimate, and then talent. You don't need to level up the basic attack at all, so there you go. You save some resources that way. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about why you guys should be subscribing to the channel, because if you've made it to this point in the video, you might be liking what you see, and you might like these build guides, and you might also like other stuff on the channel too. So please drop a subscribe so you can see great build guides like this in the future, and also some copium videos of me telling you why not to summon for characters you love. Anyways, with that plug out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about all of our relics now. So hopping into our relics, I think it's pretty self-explanatory here. You run the physical set on the physical character, and in this case that is also true. You just run the physical set on the physical character, which is going to be champion of the streetwise boxing. At a 2-piece set, you're going to be getting physical damage increased by 10%, and then at a 4-piece, after the wearer attacks or is hit, their attack is going to be increased by 5% for the rest of the battle. This stacks up to 5 times, so she's basically getting a 25% attack buff. And this is just super good right here. I mean, yeah, you get a 25% attack buff basically for free after using 5 attacks on top of the 10% physical damage bonus. Now, if you don't have these sets here, another alternative you could run would be a 2-piece champion of the streetwise boxing and 2-piece musketeer. Your damage falls off just a little bit, not that significant of a damage drop off there, but it is viable nonetheless. And then I guess the worst case scenario, which is not really a worst case scenario, you could run a 4-piece musketeer. I mean, it doesn't drop off the damage by that much, maybe a 5 to 7% difference in damage drop off. So the set bonus really don't matter too much here. Like, these set bonuses really aren't bringing you as much as something like what a 4-piece quantum set or a 4-piece imaginary set would bring a character. Speaking about the quantum though, you could run a 4-piece quantum set if you have a really good quantum set for her, just because of that 10% defense shred is going to be really nice for her as well, especially against enemies that are already weakness broken. Now, with the main 4 relic sets out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the planner sets. Her best planner set is going to be Runeland Arena. This does require a high crit rate to actually reach the extra 20% bonus damage you get, but I think it is well worth it. Her main damage comes from her skill, so this is ultimately a really good set to run on her. Her second best here is going to be Space Station. Space Station is really good for just about any DPS in the game as like a base set to run, just because it does just increase the attack percentage they're going to be doing, so really pog there. Also, the final set you could run would be Salsado. Salsado I say is last because the ultimate really isn't the main damage dealer here, it's her skill, but it's not like her ult doesn't do damage. You're not getting any use of the follow-up attack damage here because she doesn't do follow-up attack damage. But yeah, overall I think that Runeland is the best set to run, Space Station probably the second best, and Salsado probably the third best here. Talking about some of the stats you want to run here on the legs, you want to be running speed on the legs. This is the number one thing you want to be running for her. You want her to be fast. Now, if you can get her to 134 speed, because her base speed's at a 107 already, so she has a pretty high base speed anyways. If you can get that to 134 without speed boots, then by all means go attack percent boots here, but speed boots until you get up to that threshold. For the body, I would recommend either crit rate, crit damage. If you're running Runeland, then you probably are going to have to run crit rate here, because I don't think there's going to be really any way for you to get to 70% crit rate without this. But if you do manage 70% crit rate somehow without this body piece, the crit rate body piece, then feel free to run crit damage. But crit rate, I think, is going to be a necessity for you here. The link rope is going to be attack percentage. I see some people saying you can run break effect here. I mean, you can run break effect here because she is going to be breaking the enemy a lot. Me personally, I just go with an attack percent rope here, and that works out just fine for me. And then finally, hopping into the orb, it's just going to be a physical damage orb here. Pretty self-explanatory. You can run attack here, I guess, but there will be a pretty big damage drop off if you do that, so I would recommend running a physical damage orb here. But with the main stats out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of these substats you want to be getting. Number one, obviously, crit rate, crit damage. This is going to be really important to just about any DPS's kit. These are like some of the main things you need to focus on here. Speed as well. You want to make sure you're reaching a 134 speed threshold here, so she is able to cycle more often. And then obviously attack percentage, it boosts her attack. And then finally break effect, because like I said, she does focus a lot on break effect. I don't think it's enough to say to run it as a main stat. You do get a damage drop off if you run it that way, but you can run break effect in some substats to help get additional damage out if you already have some of the other stats. But that's really all I have to say for the relics section here. Let's go ahead and talk about her second most important part now, which is her Eidelons, because her Eidelons are very important, or 1 to be exact. Haha, see what I did there? Number 1, because E1 is her best Eidolon. Basically, whenever an enemy is weakness broken, you'll be getting 1 free skill point back whenever you use a skill on a weakness broken enemy. It's very, very good. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend building her without E1 at least. Super, super good here. Now, E2 is okay. She's going to be taking reduced damage when in sword stance state. It's okay. E4 is really big because it increases her break damage by 40%. This does give her a pretty good damage boost when actually breaking the enemy shields. And then finally, E6. Her talent speed boost is stackable and can be stacked up to 2 times. Basically, this is going to make her a lot faster when the enemy is actually weakness broken. So yeah, E1, like I said, is the best though. I would recommend getting E1 if you can and you want to build your Sushang. But that's really all I have to say for the Eidelons here. Let's go ahead and talk about her Lightcones. What are her best in slot Lightcones? Now, her best in slot Lightcone is going to be the In the Night Lightcone. This is going to be the best in slot for just about every single hunt character, barring Topaz maybe. But just for every other hunt character, In the Night it's going to be the best one. It's currently up right now, so you could maybe try your luck for that Lightcone if you want. Because it is really good on Sushang and every other hunt character in the game, except for Topaz maybe. But if you don't have that, it's okay. Another option you can run, which is not a free-to-play option, is going to be Swordsplay. Swordplay is really, really big because what Swordplay is doing is increasing her damage dealt every single time you hit an enemy. So she hits the enemy multiple times. She hits the enemy at least twice when using her normal skill. Whenever she's in sword stance, she hits it more times than that. Now, this does restrict you to only attacking one enemy, but come on, you're probably going to be attacking one enemy regardless because yeah, she's a main DPS single target, so you're probably focused on that target. You'll just have to rebuild this back up whenever you go and switch to another enemy. But yeah, swordplay, really, really good on her. As far as a free-to-play option you could run, that would be Cruising in the Stellar Sea. That's going to be giving you a crit rate increase and also attack percent increase as well. It's just going to be really good all around for her. This helps get her crit rate up to meet your threshold if you're struggling to reach that. Cruising in the Stellar Sea, really, really good for her. So yeah, I know this was a pretty short light cone section here because, I mean, her light cones are pretty self-explanatory. Hunt really doesn't have that many good light cones. Other than like these 3 light cones here. I think these are like the ones recommended for most characters just because of how cracked these 3 in particular are versus everything else the Hunt light cones have to offer. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into an actual character showcase now so I can kind of show how to play her and how she kind of works. Now we're going to hop into the character showcase here, but before we actually do anything, just want to let you guys know this is just for play purposes only. This is my alt account, which is just hit TL60 today. We're still working on building it up, and that's where I built this Sushang at. This damage is not going to be her normal damage, because with this account, I cannot hit the crit threshold I need to actually activate Runelent, and I'm not even running a full set. Her stats are scuffed right now, because, you know, RNG don't be treating your boy very good over here, honestly, at all. We're at 64% crit rate, 83% crit damage. Speed is, super high right now. Don't worry about the speed, though. The speed's bussin' for real, for real. Bang, hit him one time. Oh, we have an ult coming up, which we're going to cycle her back around now. Really good thing about cycling her back around is because we'll be able to hit him again, and we're also in sword stance now. So very cool there. As you can see, we have 6 stacks of riposte already, so we are getting a pretty decent size damage bonus because we are in that state. Yeah, let's go ahead and use Asa's ability as well here. Speed everyone up. I really need to put the attack buff on her from Miss Ting Yun here. So that's going to be very big right now. Okay, here we go. Shield break time. Bam! 30k on the shield break. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Bang! 18k on that guy. Yeah, he's dead basically. Come on, guys. Pretty easy, pretty simple, but you see what I mean here. By using the skill, using the ult, recycling back around, using the skill again, you just tear enemy shields up. Like I said, this is just a showcase of kind of what she is going to do. We'll go ahead and use it again, get a skill point back. We're at 3 skill points now. We can go ahead and use ultimate as well. I'm going to go ahead and just pop it on this guy here. We're going to use Ting Yun's ultimate. She's going to cycle back to the front now, and we could either choose to break the other guy's shield or just... Oh, he's already dead. Our chicken killed him. Oh no, our chicken killed him at 10k damage. Yeah, this guy is about to die here too. Anyways, gamers, that's going to do it for today on our little build guide for Miss Sushang here. If you enjoyed it, or if there's anything you think that I could add to these videos, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, we did a video the other day talking about the differences and who has a better value as far as Sushang versus Luca, and Sushang won that. So if you're curious on checking that out, you go and click that video. It'll be at the end of the video here probably. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Don't act dumb, Sushang. You're the smartest person I know. Anyways, bye guys. See you later.